Hello everyone, Brickosaurus227 here. Now this is definitely an odd video because I'm going to be taking a look at the 3 big breech loaders. Why? Well, I've been really interested in them lately. They have mod potential, and there's just some cool gimmicks to these that I think people overlooked at the time. So, what are we looking at today? Well, first we're going to take a look at the Elite Sharpfire, the AccuStrike Falconfire, and last but not least, the modulus Ionfire. So without further ado, let's take a look at what some people consider some of the worst blasters in Nerf history. Let's get started. Before we continue on, let's define what a breech loader is. Well, it's kind of a blaster that operates like this. All of these blasters have almost identical internals, which is interesting, but they operate in a very simple and standard fashion. You pull back the top, and there is a little open space there for you to load a dart in. Push it forward, and fire. Now let's look at the similarities of these blasters. They have the exact same operating system, obviously, but what other similarities are there? Well, like I said before, the internals are literally the same. Like, there may be a couple minor differences, but they are almost identical. All of these blasters have some bit of modularity and dart storage. And last but not least, these blasters have some great mod potential, every single one of them. So now that we kind of have the similarities, let's start looking at each one, starting with the Sharpfire. The Sharpfire is a really interesting blaster. Now this is obviously, in my opinion, the worst of the bunch, but it has a few things that do make it stick out. And it's kind of a really cool looking blaster. There's no denying that this blaster looks insanely cool, and in my opinion, this is one of the coolest looking Nerf pistols when you take the stock off. It just feels so, I don't know, there's something so about it that's so cool, and it feels like a secret agent blaster with a silencer. It's just pew pew. I really like that. It's just something about it that really makes this stick out to me, and I just really like how well they did this. Even with the stock, it looks great. And that's what's crazy. It's just something about it, it's unique and a good design. The build quality on the blaster and the barrel is pretty good. However, the stock, it can be a little bit wiggly sometimes depending on which one you have. They can't, after a long time, they will get kind of used and a lot of pressure and they'll start to wiggle. But if you get a good one, it will actually be a very nice and firm stock hold. Now this one's kind of wiggly. That's just because it's kind of wearing out. I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but it's a very cool design, and look-wise, it just looks good. Now the stock is definitely the most interesting and different part about this because it has a lot of modularity to it, and this stock does way more than it looks like. Actually, no, it does about everything it looks like. So first off, you notice there is this thing. This is a strap to put on the side of your belt. It doesn't work well with this design. However, you can switch it around to the front of the blaster, and it even lines up perfectly with the barrel right here, and you clip it in, and you can literally have this on your side with the belt clip. And you gotta be careful because you can easily break this part off the stock. But that's not all the stock can do. You see this? This is the barrel to the Sharpfire. It really just clicks on like that. It's pretty easy. Well, the barrel can be stored in the stock, which means you can kind of keep your attachments together, and I really like how they did that. Not to mention the stock has some very competent dart storage on it, and there's of course dart storage here and here. You can hold 6 darts on here, pretty good. The stock is comfortable to shoulder, but it is very short, so you know, it's a cool and the most interesting part about it, but it's also the most useless part of the blaster. Yes, it's even more useless than the barrel because the barrel at least adds a really nice cosmetic flair, and it doesn't decrease the performance too much like most barrels. However, this thing performs atrociously. When it's brand new, it's fine, but they really seem to degrade a lot over time, so they only really shine when you mod them. It's very simple to just take out the back without even taking the whole blaster apart, and you can even swap in a new spring. It's like Nerf knew that people were gonna mod this thing, and I kind of like that. Because you literally can just take out the spring here, and you can't really take out the air restrictor, You have to take it apart to do that. But the ability to just swap out the spring is a really, really neat thing. And even though this is my least favorite of these blasters, it might be one of the best for a few reasons. First off, when you take all the stuff out, the fluff, it's a very, very compact blaster. More compact than it even looks on screen. Here's it compared to a Retaliator stock. It's tiny. And the grip itself is good, except for this little part here, which it is annoying, but it's not like super annoying. It's just barely noticeable. The prime is very light. That's because the spring is not the best. And the trigger pull is good. It's kind of doesn't have a clicky feel like you would want. But the core blaster itself has so much mod potential, and it's so compact compared to the others that it makes it the best option if you want to actually mod this and make it a solid secondary or emergency pistol. If we were just to mod the blaster itself without changing the mechanism, this would probably be the best one practicality wise. It's just the best. It's smaller and more compact, and it has all the mod potential you could want. But let's look at a different blaster, and this one's probably the most praised of these three breech loaders, and it is my second favorite. The Falconfire. This thing is so cool. It is the most comfy out of them with the AccuStrike grip everyone loves, including me. It's such a well-textured and well-designed grip. It's so comfy. The priming handle is definitely the easiest to grab out of them all. You get a good grip. You can pull it back. Then, of course, you know, you load your dart in like you would expect. Now, when this first released, I thought this was an internal mag, and I was so hyped, but it's just dart storage. Like, that's evil, Hasbro. That's evil. It looks like an internal mag. And this wins all the points design-wise and modability. Why does it win modability? It has the same mechanism as the others. It does. However, it has one little thing that keeps it going, and that is the Spamf mod. It is perfectly designed for a short dart mag to be put in here. And once you do a Spamf mod, just buy the mod kit and do it. It's literally a mini Aeon Pro. It's so cool. There is a tack rail on the bottom if you want to put attachments, so it is somewhat modular. All of these blasters have some modularity. It's pretty cool. So let's say you're a psychopath and you want to put a grip right here. Seriously, what is wrong with you if you do this? Yeah, you know, you could. I'd put like a flashlight or something under here if I had to. The overall just design and just plastic shell of it looks so good, and once you do a Spamf mod, it's just amazing, and it's great for that. Modability wise, this is the best because it does have the best ergonomics, and it has a lot of great kit compatibility. This thing's amazing, the build of it's amazing, and the design of it is amazing, and it's most people's top pick for a breech loader blaster. But here's where I'm going to get the heat. My favorite is the Ionfire. This thing is so cool that any kind of things it has working against it, I can't hate, because it's so cool the way they did this. Like I'm telling you, when this came out, I was so happy because I bought a bunch of them. It's a $10 blaster. $10. You think that's not good? It is a breech loader like the others with the top load here, but you get a dart storage holder that goes in the bottom or top, wherever you want. Yeah, this is tactical. It has an inch-strike barrel lug with one of my favorite inch-strike barrels. It has the stock point. I'll get to the different stocks and barrel variations once I'm done with the overview, but there's also tack rail here, and then, like I said, tack rail on the bottom. However, the grip is not great. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this grip. I love this style of grip. I like it on the Modulus ECS-10. I really like it on this. I love it. It's one of my favorite grips. But I know for a fact it's not going to be good for most people. So keep that in mind. That's why the grip is not good. It's not designed for everyone. It's good for me, not for everyone. And yes, I modded this thing. I doubled up the spring and took out the ARs, and it's getting about 90 FPS. Now, here's the part that's really weird. Most people think this is a bad priming grip, and it would be bad if you grabbed it like this, because then you're going under here. But when you grab it like this, it's very comfortable, it's very easy to do, and your hand doesn't go under the thing. You can actually have a stock, which will make it insanely practical, and there's a few stocks that work with it. I'm going to show you the ones that look the coolest, then I'm going to show you the ones that are actually practical. I feel like this stock fits the blaster the best as far as looks. First off, it's a Modulus stock, and once you put the other attachments on, it kind of fits the theme. pretty well. I also think the Spectre stock works really well with this. Not practically, but it, like, the way it's designed, it just feels like a Spectre stock works right with it. Now, the two most practical stocks I found with this are, of course, the AccuTrooper stock, or a worker style stock. Very comfy, and it's the most comfortable, definitely, out of all of them. And it fits pretty well. It doesn't break the mold too much. And if you had one with matching colors, it would look great. But my favorite stock to run with this is the Stockade stock. One of, if not my most favorite stock. That's because the stock, first off, Stockade stock's so cool. It has a cheek rest and a 10-dart storage. That's the main thing. For single shot blaster, dart storage is 100% necessary, I think. And this is the best stock for dart storage because the darts don't stick out and get in the way, like with this attachment down here. And it's still a good length and it's comfy. And again, the cheek rest right there, that's so nice. And yes, I'm going to be running this as a primary soon. Just straight up like this. Sue me, I don't care. There's a lot of benefits to it. I'm going to make a separate video talking about why single shot blasters are great for primaries, but that's just something I'm going to go down later. Because it's really hard to explain, and a lot of people would disagree. So, you know, also I don't want to extend the runtime of this video. And weirdly enough, this is the best trigger pull. It's the most springy, and it has a solid shot feel to it. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't creak or anything. It's just springy. And it has a nice little click to it. It's not like super sensitive either. It's like you have to, you know when you're gonna shoot, and that's great. It's not very compatible with barrels. Even the included barrel sticks out a bit. However, I love the Ionfire barrel, and it's one of my favorites because it's so small, and it acts kind of just as a muzzle to make your inch-like barrel lugs look a little bit less ugly if you don't like the look of them. I don't think they look ugly, but some people do, and it's a perfect little cap that won't affect performance in the slightest because it's such a small barrel. But it's a great barrel, but it doesn't fit the blaster, which is kind of odd. But the Ionfire is personally my favorite. I really like this blaster, and I give it a high rating because it's so cool, and it's basically a modular jolt that has a lot more mod potential than a jolt. Maybe a modular Night Finder would be a better way to describe it. And I think the breech loading is a cool system. It's not the most necessarily effective, but getting used to it, it can be very solid. Breech loaders inherently aren't great stock. They aren't really great blasters in general unless you mod them. But here's the thing. I have a soft spot for them because back in the day when I was getting into Nerf and having Nerf wars with my friends, I would not have a lot of great blasters and I wouldn't have a lot of money. So when this came out, this was an insane value at the time for one. Specifically this blaster I have the most nostalgia for. Also the Sharpfire. And it was just something fun about them at the time. They were so cool and cheap and accessible, and they had so much to offer for a $10 price tag. Specifically the Ionfire with a barrel and dart attachment. That's so cool. And at the time, these were great blasters for me. I really just, I have a soft spot in my heart for them. And revisiting them lately, it gives me a lot of nostalgia for one. And I know it's, oh, this is a nostalgia type blaster. Why are you feeling nostalgic? Look, all I'm going to say was 2020 was 4 years ago. Feel old yet? Yeah. I know this released in like 2017 or whatever. 2014. Oh gosh, this released a long time ago. Well, I got one in 2017. Look, I know 2017 wasn't long ago, but I feel so nostalgic over 2017, 18, even 2019. Heck, even 2020. What the heck? Time is flying by so fast, okay? So, if you think, oh, this is not a blaster to feel nostalgic for, it is like 10 years old. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something about these blasters. If you want to get one yourself, I recommend it, especially if you want to mod it. They are cool and fun blasters. I think this blaster in particular shines in the plinking area. Like, this is a fun plinker. A lot of these breech loaders aren't necessarily practical unless you mod them, but stock, they are pretty good plinkers. But yeah, like I said before, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something, and hope I was able to change your mind a little bit about some of these blasters. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.